I want to reconvene the group, the crowd, the meeting. I just think the morning has just been fabulous. You know, listening to Corey Bachman's talk followed by this panel, it really tells me, and I'm sure you, how important science is. And without this kind of great research and the continuation of this, how can we actually going to understand our biology, disease, and how can we end up with the right treatment? So this is just fabulous. And I think we promised that this afternoon is going to be just as exciting. So it's customary at this point in our program that we take a moment to acknowledge and pay our respect to NAM members who passed away since the last meeting. The names will be shown on the screen behind me. I won't read them aloud, but ask for a moment of silence as they are displayed. Thank you. From the esteemed members we have lost, we turn to impressive individuals. Thank you. Who recently joined our ranks. Our members are truly remarkable set of leaders. Can you turn that slide off, please? Thank you. And they committed to improving health and medicine and making the world a better place for everyone. I've always said we rely on our members to share the experience, guide the work of the academies, and without our members, we won't have accomplished what we have today. On that note, I'd like to share a video first, introduction about what it means to be an NAM member, starring some of the newest members of the Academy who were inducted last year.
Over the last decade plus, I've been working to develop vaccines and medicines to impact some of the biggest public health challenges around the world.
My work has really focused on developing new technologies and devices to deliver medicine to the body.
A few years ago, a colleague and I completed a multi-center randomized controlled trial that was the first study to show that a medication could accelerate the recovery of consciousness after a severe brain injury.
I'm a gynecologic oncologist. I take care of women with cancer, trying to really understand why some women truly are cured or survive decades, whereas others do not get to live more than a few years.
Spent much of my academic career working on problems of the developing world, particularly infectious diseases.
I've dedicated my life to developing new therapies to help children and now adults with cystic fibrosis.
We have a tremendous responsibility as scientists to communicate the importance of science, the relevance of science, the rigor of science.
Our priority now is on education, because we think that most of what is happening now is coming from the background of ignorance. People just don't know.
It is a wonderful opportunity for those of us who are members to help participate in shaping the future of our field. I like to do things that have an implication for the public welfare. And I think the Academy has a tremendous commitment to that.
I believe the National Academy of Medicine has a critical role for this country and for the world in providing a trustworthy summary of the scientific evidence that exists.
When you bring so many people with such incredible talents together to address the most important questions about medicine and improving health and reducing disparities, you just have an opportunity to address the most significant problems.
We cannot afford to continue the way we are continuing in delivering health care in this country. We have a job to do to say, how do we reformulate that? What is the new vision for that? And how do we provide care to a variety of very diverse populations?
The National Academy of Medicine can have really big impact to make sure we continue to do the research and to make discoveries in these times.
My name is Vivian Lee, and I'm a member of the National Academy of Medicine.
Giuseppe Dalmau.
Valerie Reyna.
Otis W. Brawley.
David Meltzer.
Ned Kalin.
Melissa Gilliam.
Keith Klugman.
Susan Scotialat. Linda Burns-Bolton.
Vas Narasimhan.
Robert W. Newmar.
Faston Goma.
John White.
My name is Tejal Desai, and I'm a member of the...
Let's say it together, National Academy of Medicine. Isn't it fabulous? Well, you can see these were words from our members, heartfelt words, and they really show a diverse group of individuals working across science, medicine, health, and policy, making really major contributions to our mission. So I couldn't be more pleased to welcome our newest class of members, elected in 2016 and inducted formally this past Saturday. I had the privilege of getting to know them the past 2 days. Believe me, they're a lively crowd, very excited, and we just welcome them because they're going to add so much to the Academy. So the members of the class of 2016, when I call your name, please stand, and stand until all the names have been read. And in the interest of time, I will not read their affiliations. They're listed in the new member directory. I'm sure you've seen that. And also, please hold your applause until I have read all of these names, because there are 80 of them. Okay, the class of 2016. First, Anissa Abidagam. Oh. They know instructions well. Anissa, stand. No, remain standing, Anissa. See, take instructions well. Anita Allen. Peter Bach. Oops. I'm not supposed to advance. You're going to do that, right? Okay. Peter Bach. That's interesting. I'm going to read the names until we get the right ones. Bonnie Bassler, Andrew Bazemore, I apologize, Marie, I am out of sync. Oh, it's my fault. I forgot to flip the page. Okay, now that I've okay, reboot. Maria Alonso. Masayuki Amagai. Cheryl Ann Marie Anderson. Now Peter Bach. Bonnie Bassler. Andrew Bazemore. Pierre Olive Berggren. Karen Berman. Stefano Bertuzzi. Leslie B. Sicker. Agnes Binaguadho. Antonello Bonci. Malcolm Brenner. L.D. Britt. Deborah Bruner. Robert Califf. Alicia Karikiri. Laura Casterson. Andreas Chaville. Ann Coleman. Kathleen Collins, Roger D. Cohn, Martha Curley, Joseph DeRisi, Francis Doyle III, Karen Edmonds, Elisa Appel, Timothy Evans, Carol Friedman, Christopher Garcia, Patricia Garcia, Carmen Garcia Pina, Martin Gaynor, Maury Gillison, Alison Goat, Sarah Jane Holton, Paula Hammond, Stanley Hazen, Mukesh Jain, Maria Jason, Prubat Jha, Jeffrey Khan, Melina Kibi, Alan Kirk, Mark Krasno, Francis Lee, Jake Liang, Maureen Lichtfeld, George McCones, Kelsey Martin, Donald McDonald, Bruce Miller, Samir Mitragotri, Valerie Montgomery Rice, John Morrison, Mark A. Moosen, K. M. Venkat Narayan, Kenneth Offit, James Mark Perrin, Bernice Bescosilido. Not bad, right? Thomas Randall, Lynn Richardson, James A. Roth, Paul B. Rothman, James Salas, Jane Salmon, Assis Sankar, Tadzuku Tajiguchi, Hugh Smith Taylor, Oliwalu Tomori, Craig Venter, Sheldon Walker, David Wald, Huntington Willard, Michelle Williams, Xiao Leung Shi, Clyde Yancey, and Michael Yasbemski. Let's all welcome the class of 2016. Stand up. Well, I hope you really feel welcomed. It's wonderful to have you joining all of us. And here at the National Academy, we have a growing number of fellowships and scholar programs that enable highly qualified individuals to engage with our organization for a limited period of time. In a research and educational experience, beneficial to both fellow scholars and the NAM. And I'm delighted to introduce the new classes. Please stand as your name is called and remain standing, and we'll hold our applause again till everybody's name's been read. This year we have 6 Robert Johnson Foundation Health Policy Fellows. This prestigious program offers exclusive hands-on policy experience in the nation's capital at the nexus of health, policy, and science to exceptional mid-career health professions and behavioral social scientists. And the fellows are Carrie Coyle and Robin Fleming, Caprice Knapp, and Alison Myers, Karen Rhodes, Reginald Tucker Seeley. So, welcome. And we also have the American Academy of Nursing, American Nurses Association, American Nurses Foundation Distinguished Nurse Scholar in Residence. One outstanding nurse leader is selected every year for this one-year program that's designed to assist nurse scholar to play a more prominent role in health policy development at national level. And this year's Nurse Scholar in Residence is Tanner Goodwin Vinima. We have a FDA Tobacco Regulatory Science Fellows. This collaborative program between NAM and FDA Center for Tobacco Products brings mid-career professionals to a nation's capital to gain experience and expertise to further define and develop the field of regulatory science. They serve at the forefront of the federal regulation of tobacco products and FDA's authorities under the Family Smoking Prevention Tobacco Control Act. And the fellows this year are Chauvin Chisholm, Karine Eminez Donovan, Molly Miller, Tony Yang. Finally, I'm happy to welcome the 5 National Academy of Medicine Fellows for the 2017 cycle. These early career health science scholars became directly involved with health and medicine-related work at the National Academies and work on our boards, committees, and roundtables. The NAM Fellows this year are Rashid Aber, Neil Dickert, Alan Eaton, Ebony Boyce Carter, and Tammy Chang. So we expect great contributions from all these fellows and scholars in coming months. And so let's give them one more round of applause, all of them. Okay, turning to our awards, the Rhoda and Bernhard Sarnat International Prize in Mental Health has been awarded annually since 1992 to individuals, groups, or organizations that have demonstrated outstanding achievement in improving mental health. I'd like to ask Uta Kiel, the chair of this year's selection committee, to come to the stage and introduce this year's Sonnet Award recipient. Uta?
Thanks, Victor. Good morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure to do this. There is no greater joy in our business than to acknowledge the contributions of our colleagues, the great discoveries and advances they have made. And this year's award is extremely apt because it's focused on developmental neuroscience, clinical and basic. This year, the National Academy of Medicine has awarded the Rhoda and Bernhard Sarnat International Prize in Mental Health to Joseph Coyle, whose research laid the foundation for integrating neuroscience and clinical psychiatry and shifted psychiatry's emphasis towards empirically based brain research, and to the team of Catherine Lord and Matthew State, whose work revolutionized the study of autism and related neuropsychiatric disorders. Joseph Coyle is the Eben Draper Chair of Psychiatry and Neuroscience at Harvard Medical School. His work facilitated recognition of the central role of the brain in psychiatric disorders, and by doing so, improved the understanding and treatment of these disorders. His pioneering research illuminated some of the neurological mechanisms underlying Huntington's disease, schizophrenia, and Alzheimer's disease. For example, his research revealed that oxidative stress can lead to neural damage in schizophrenia and prompted the identification of acetylcholinesterase inhibitors as treatment for Alzheimer's disease. Coyle has also made significant contributions to clinical psychiatry, transforming the division of child and adolescent psychiatry at Johns Hopkins into one of the top divisions in the nation, and contributing to the literature on psychopharmacological treatment in the management of serious mental disorders. Joe? Congratulations.
I'd like to thank the selection committee and the Academy for naming me as one of the Sarnat awardees. It's a great honor to be included in this list of prior distinguished awardees. I'd also like to acknowledge the important role of Saul Schneider, who 50 years ago took me into his laboratory as a medical student and allowed me to experience the wonder of discovery and research. And Julie Axelrod, who taught me a lot about what science is all about and how you do it. And finally, I'd like to thank my students, technicians, and postdocs who over the last 40 years contributed greatly to the science that we did. Thank you.
Catherine Lord is professor of psychology and psychiatry and founding director of the Center for Autism and the Developing Brain at Weill Cornell. She designed gold standard diagnostic instruments for autism spectrum disorders that have facilitated genetic and neuroscientific research as well as clinical practice. And her co-winner, Matthew State, whom you've met before, is the Oberdorf Family Distinguished Professor and Chair of Psychiatry at UC San Francisco. He has leveraged these efforts to become a world leader in the study of autism, genetics, and genomics, directing several of the earliest highly successful large-scale genomic studies and discovering multiple genes that contribute to the risk of these disorders. Together, Lord and State led an innovative collaboration to create a public repository of genetic and behavioral data on autism involving nearly 1,200 individuals and 3,000 families, which has revolutionized the study of autism and related neuropsychiatric disorder. Catherine and Matthew, can you come?
As a psychologist and somebody who studies human behavior, particularly observing human behavior, I just really want to thank you for this honor and the honor of being part of this activity and part of to be on the stage with Joe Coyle and my partner, Matt State, from whom I've learned so much. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Akil, the selection committee, Dr. Zhao. It's an extraordinary honor, and I couldn't think of better co-awardees than Drs. Coyle and Lord. I'm honored to receive the award. Human genetics is a team sport, and really I could not have had a better collaborator. In fact, none of our work would have been possible without the contributions of Dr. Lord. I also want to say that I led a large-scale collaboration. I won't name them all, but it's important to point out that every single one of the principal investigators in their labs played a critical role in our success in gene discovery. I want to thank particularly two students, former students, now independent investigators, Stephen Sanders and Jeremy Wilsey, brilliant young individuals without whom none of this work would have been possible. And thank you very much for this award.
Congratulations.
I love these awards, the Academy's awards, right? Okay, so Uda, thank you very much, and congratulations to Joseph, Catherine, and Matthew. So turning to our final award, the Gustav Linhard Award for Advancement of Healthcare has been issued annually since 1986 by the National Academy of Medicine, or previously the IOM, and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, in recognition of outstanding achievement in improving personal health care services in the United States. I'd like to ask Regina Benjamin, chair of this year's selection, to join me on stage to present this award. Regina.
Good afternoon. The Lienhard Award is funded by the endowment from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. As a former member of the Board of Trustees of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, I'm really pleased to have served on the selection committee. The Gustav himself, Gustav Ole Einhard, was a chair of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation Board of Trustees from its beginning in 1971 to his retirement in 1986, a period in which the foundation moved to the forefront of American philanthropy in healthcare. Lienhard, who died in 1987, built his career with Johnson & Johnson, beginning as an accountant and retiring 39 years later as its president. So the Lienhard Award is given each year to recognize an outstanding national achievement in improving personal health care in the United States. And nominees are eligible for consideration without regard for their education, profession, and the award recipients are selected by a committee of experts convened by the Academy. And again, I was very honored to serve as this year's committee chair. The Lienhard Committee proudly chose Diane Meier, MD, Professor of Geriatrics and Palliative Medicine at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, and Director of the Center for Advanced Palliative Care. Dr. Meyer has played a major role in the awareness and adoption of palliative care services in the United States. She's a geriatrician, and as such, she saw the modern medicine was focused on curing disease and prolonging life. But it didn't include things like patients' and families' distress, including pain, depression, anxiety, sleeplessness, and other symptoms. So, first at Mount Sinai, then through the Center for Advanced Palliative Care, Dr. Meyer helped launch the palliative care movement. She defined the components of palliative care and clarified its impact on the well-being of patients and families. She didn't stop there. She established the Hertzberg Palliative Care Institute at Mount Sinai, which is a model program to help patients and families navigate the complexities of illness and manage pain and other symptoms. Dr. Myers published widely on palliative care in major medical journals. She's developed guidelines and national quality standards for the field, and she's educated the general public about the need for palliative care. Today, there are over 1,800 programs in the United States that are dedicated to this type of care, and more than 80% of the people in U.S. hospitals now access palliative care teams. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Diane Meier.
I'm not going to be quite as brief as my predecessor award recipients because I have so many people to thank. Let me begin by thanking Dr. Benjamin and her committee and the National Academies of Medicine for this remarkable honor. As Regina started to say, I want to make sure everyone in this audience knows what palliative care is. Palliative care is a relatively recent 10-year-old new medical specialty that is focused on maximizing quality of life and function for patients with serious illness and their families. It is delivered at the same time as all other appropriate medical care, whether the goal is cure or life prolongation or living as well as possible for as long as possible with a serious illness. And I'm very proud to be a member of this field. So how did this innovation go to scale? It wasn't because of me as an individual, it was because of the pulling together of so many different sectors of our society, and I want to begin with private sector philanthropy. Without the sustained and very substantial investment of private sector philanthropy, first among them the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, who invested literally hundreds of millions of dollars in creating this field, there would be no field in the United States. So as a nation, I think we're unique in the contributions of private sector philanthropy to healthcare. You don't see this in other countries in the world. So I want to point that out and especially thank the leadership of Steve Schroeder, who was the lead of RWJ when it made this decision, and to my project officer at the time, Rosemary Gibson, who charged us at the Center to Advance Palliative Care with integrating palliative care into the genome of American medicine. And there isn't a day that goes by when I don't think about that charge and how to do that. None of this impact would have been possible, the 1,800 hospitals that Regina mentioned, without the support, investment, tolerance, and interest of the C-suites of all of those hospitals. So this work was not just radical leaders within each hospital getting this stuff done. We all partnered with the leadership of our institutions in an effort to create programs that would meet the needs of our most vulnerable patients. So my thanks and appreciation to them as well. I have to thank my mentors in this work, Dr. Robert Butler, who was my chairman for many years, my partner in crime, Christine Castle, who started the Center to Advance Palliative Care with me, the thousands of my colleagues, clinicians, and researchers in this field, and my partner in running CAPC, the Carol Seeger. Where are you, Carol? Without whom I would not be standing here and none of this work would be possible. I also want to thank my long-term thought partner, colleague, friend, and now husband, Sean Morrison, for his partnership in this work, and then not least my children, Leo and Anna. So thank you all very much for this great honor.
Well, congratulations to all the awardees and to everyone. It's time now for a lunch break. So you're welcome to attend the general luncheon in the tent. There are also, for those who register, special luncheon. The estate financial planning lunch is in the boardroom. The Committee on Human Rights will be lecture room, and the building leadership will be in the West Court. All right. See you later.